right, we are moving on to the film Jeanne Du Barry. Let me. I need to. Apparently there's a certain order I have to do this on StreamYard. There we go. The movie is Jeanne Du Barry. It stars Johnny Depp. Why did I see it? Because it stars Johnny Depp. This movie premiered at Cannes to amazing applause and a standing ovation. Jeanne Du Barry is the story of a young woman who, as a child, was born of a cook out of an affair between a cook and a priest. The cook now lives in dishonor and disgrace, as well as her daughter, Jeanne. But she's a very beautiful girl, and the person who hired her mother as the cook took a liking to her and taught her things like reading and education and the search for knowledge. This man even paid for her to attend school at a convent where she was kicked out because she read books. So now that Jeanne is a fully grown woman, she has two choices in life. She can either be a cook like her mother or a harlot and courtesan. And she decides to become a harlot. And here she uses her knowledge and her intelligence and the things she's learned about life to manipulate men into basically elevating her status in life. And so she finds herself being able to sit amongst the royalty and the elite of France and hold her own, even though her past is her past. And at one moment, the King of England, Louis XV, played by Johnny Depp here, takes a liking to her and decides that she must be his, and she is all up for it. And a scandal occurs. And so what has to happen is that Jeanne has to marry a baron, so that she can become a baroness, thereby bringing more class to this affair than he could have without her. And the story is about Jeanne and her journey as a strong, intelligent, self-assured woman, and her rise to be the courtesan of the king. I knew nothing about this going in. This movie, I will say this. Let's see. May Wen is the one who plays Jeanne. She wrote and directed the movie. She fought hard to get Johnny Depp to play the king. So she fought hard to get an American to play a Frenchman. This movie is told in French. This movie is one of those movies. It's an art film that is meant to win awards, and that is what they're going for, and that comes across greatly. My biggest issue with this movie is that Jeanne doesn't change throughout the entire film, even as a child. She is this strong woman who has to find her place in this world, who has to deal with bullying from the other women in the elite women of that time. She has to use her feminine wiles to prove to men that she is a strong person, and that she uses her strength and her intelligence to change the culture of France, especially in the area of fashion and etiquette. Lastly, I guess the reason this story is being told, why Jeanne Du Barry is so important, is that she was kind of one of the last people to be executed during the French Revolution. Marie Antoinette plays a part in here, but this movie pretty much is about the love story between her and Louis XV. And it's an art film. I think the best thing about this movie is Johnny Depp. He is a standout performer in this movie in terms of, Johnny Depp has a presence on screen that all the other actors can't bring. And he gives a very nuanced performance to the king, especially in the sense that I don't know if it's the fact that he doesn't speak French fluently, but a lot of his performance is in his physicality, in his look. And I think you kind of expect that from Johnny Depp. From like Edward Scissorhands to many others' performances. It's not about what he says, but how he carries himself on screen. Right. And to me, that's probably the best thing about this movie. But this is you know, if I were to say this is a fairly typical French biopic uh, with the feel of a BBC production behind it, that's what this movie is. It's meant for you to appreciate and enjoy it for the sake of art and for the message it has to say, and that's about as good as this movie is going to get.
Well, I was going to ask, how did the actress do? Because I know, like, the only thing I've ever seen her in, besides what this movie, which I haven't seen, the only thing I know her from is like The Fifth Element, right? She plays the blue lady who was singing,
Yeah,
at the space bar or whatever.
yeah. I mean, apparently, I don't know a lot about her career, but there were documentaries before and after it. There's a Q&A with Johnny Depp after the movie. So apparently, May Wen is becoming quite a prolific filmmaker in France, and I'll say a prolific female filmmaker, and it shows. You know, there is a level of you know, the movie is well shot. It's told in some very beautiful locations on set in France. But it is that movie that just says, here's a strong woman and I want to tell her story. And here it is. I think character development is missing in this movie. And it needed to have been there for Jeanne Du Barry. I find it interesting, this poster, you see Johnny Depp's face and not hers.
Right. Yeah, no, that says a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now here's the question too.
Mm-hmm.
So is this movie a road back for Johnny Depp?
No, look, Johnny Depp's very good in this movie. I don't know that it's Oscar worthy. It could potentially be. But in terms of step back, I mean, look, I think Johnny's last few years have been a step back for him. And I think he's making the smart choice of just leaving America, going to Europe and making movies there. You know, I think, you know, let's put it this way. He's making movies in countries that like him, that want him. And if you're wanted like this, make your movie. And again, he puts everything into it.
Well, he's always been very picky about the roles he takes.
Mm-hmm.
I know, just from what I know of him and people who know him, he's turned down way more movies than he's accepted.
Oh yeah.
So he's always been really picky about the roles he takes, and he always likes taking these off Hollywood type roles. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
maybe this is where he's going to stay. Maybe this is going to be his wheelhouse moving forward. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the question is how tainted is his career in America? You know,
is it though?
Yeah. I mean, you're asking a really good question because I think Disney would be willing to pay a shit ton of money to get him back as Jack Sparrow.
Oh, absolutely. In a heartbeat. Will he take it? Absolutely not. But I don't think he's as done in Hollywood as some people think he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's only done because he wants to be done, not because the industry's done with him.
Yeah. Well, let's also be honest. The whole trial thing, the whole Amber Heard thing is, you know, people will still, you know, regardless of what the outcome of his trial was, people still think he did what he did.
But from what I've seen, the majority are still on his side in that. And I'm talking women. I saw more women defending Johnny Depp than men during that trial. Yeah,
which is why I think he definitely has a shot to come back to the US and make movies, to Hollywood and make movies. And I think the ball is in his court. Absolutely.
Because I would love to see Johnny Depp back in like a big budget Hollywood film.
I would. I just don't think he'll do it. I think okay, I don't know him. I don't know anything about him, but you can definitely get the sense that he felt burned by Hollywood. He felt
who wouldn't?
Yeah, and rightfully so. So I'll say this: maybe he's going down the road of Mel Gibson. Yeah,
and that's not a bad road.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So final verdict on Jeanne Du Barry. Yeah, it's Oscar bait. It's an Oscar bait art film. That's ultimately it.
Oh, you mean like a typical Cannes movie?
Yes. This movie is so pretentious. Yeah, it is very pretentious. And the highlight of the movie is Johnny Depp's performance. I think May Wen is not, very French actress. you know, very and I would throw feminist in there as well. This is a feminist tale, so I'm not afraid to say that word, but it feels that way. And it's not for everybody. It's, you know, it may show up again at the end of the year. My gut tells me it's not going to make that kind of impression. If anything comes out of award season, it'll be Johnny Depp's performance.